It's 2:15 PM in the afternoon and I've just arrived outside the grand facade of London's Waterloo Station. This grand entrance was opened in 1848. Anyhow, I best get on my way. I've got a train to catch. If you are coming here by bus, some of them literally drop you off right outside. Now inside, here is a view of the former Eurostar platforms, which were used for international services up to 2007. After all this time, it's still an impressive concourse area. One of the great features of this station is the balcony. From here, you get a nice panoramic view, an enticement to travel on the journey that awaits. And on that note, welcome to Carl's Travel Channel, where every journey costs less than £200. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And always remember, the nearest exit may be behind you. Hi everyone, and welcome to Waterloo Station. I've had to edit this to avoid the annoying announcements, but I'm about to embark on another of my big voyages overseas, today from Portsmouth International Port. So from here in London, I can take a train just over down there and see where I end up. Please come along and join with me. Heading down the platform, it's now time to board. A quick look at the route map for where we will be going today. SWR, now nationalised, have a vast network. Now let's enter the carriage. And just like magic, I've teleported into my seat. Still, with it currently being quiet on board, it gives an opportunity to look around and see the facilities, ambience and atmosphere on offer in this fairly modern looking train carriage. These are fairly recent additions to the fleet. If you know what type of class they are, please let me know in the comments below. I'm not very up on my round geekery. At foot, there are full-sized UK charging 3-pin plugs, which are very useful for charging your devices. Don't plug your coffee kettle in though, you might blow the fuse. And more than enough legroom here for my long legs. Oh, we're leaving already, right on cue. So, here we go. Departure time, 3:10 in the afternoon. A miracle for a UK train to be punctual. As we set off, the all-important ticket price, that of course must fit with my budget travel philosophy, and the ticket booked about a month in advance for this journey was an amazingly low £10. An advanced single fare booked on the SWR app. And as we pull out of Waterloo Station, we get a great view here of the old Eurostar platforms, stretching almost a mile southwards. And there's a train emerging from one of them just now. For my regular viewers of the channel, you know I like a nice onboard announcement, so here is the first one for you.
This is God speaking. Welcome aboard on this Southwestern Railway service to Portsmouth Harbour. We'll be calling at Woking, Guildford, Fancombe, Godalming, Hazelmere, Petersfield, Havant, Fratton, Portsmouth and Southsea and Portsmouth Harbour. Scheduled arrival to Portsmouth Harbour is 16:36. This train is formed of 10 coaches and we will stop at stations with short platforms. Passengers for Fancombe and for Fratton, you need to alight from the front 7 coaches of this 10-car train. Please keep your belongings with you at all times, and if you see anything suspicious, tell me, the guard or any member of staff. If you need my assistance, you will find me currently in the middle of this train, and soon I will be walking through the train towards the rear coaches. Thank you.
We then head southwards, passing through the first of many places we will not be stopping at, starting here at Vauxhall. I'm going to speed most of my journey I took on this train up, as I know you will get very bored, and slumped over, fast asleep. I can just picture that now. Another view of the seating layout offered. We pass one of the red suburban-style trains, berthed in the platform at Vauxhall. I have no idea if berthed is the right word, but I'm more of a nautical person. Then entering the huge myriad of tracks that enter Clapham Junction Station, one of the largest railway junctions in the UK. Going at this speed, it approaches rather quickly. And one big benefit of booking on the 3:10 PM train from Waterloo is it goes express through Clapham Junction, really speeding up the journey and avoiding the need to pick up any more passengers overcrowding the train. Random fact, Clapham Junction is Britain's busiest railway station, though it certainly does not look like it today. Oh dear, where is my hat? You certainly do not want to see my hair on camera. Passing non-stop through the notorious home of the Wombles. Yes, you've guessed it, Wimbledon. I must admit, I did not see any waiting on the platforms. Maybe they are all up on the common today. If you've seen any Wombles there, please let me know in the comments below. I have sped up this big non-stop section of line to 5 speed, but but left it in as it brings back not so fond memories for me having once commuted every day here through Rains Park Station to work for a travel company I won't name, just like Scott from planes, trains and everything back in my old corporate travel days. Coming up here to New Malden, which we are just about to pass through now. Arriving into our first station call at Woking. At least I think we stopped here anyhow, but from the video evidence, it's rather confusing. It looks as though we just passed through and shot out the other side. Maybe the platforms here are misaligned. And on the end of one of these platforms is this rather grand old looking signal box. We do at least appear to stop here. As you can see here from the train, Woking is currently undergoing extensive redevelopment, with all of these new buildings currently being put up. There are many modern residential towers and offices, and a new shopping centre. Now once again, it's announcement time.
If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text the British Transport Police on 61016. We'll sort it. See it, say it, sort it.
There's certainly a lot of things that don't look right here in Woking. A lot of repetitive security announcements and ticketing notices on board these trains.
Our trains are controlled by uniformed and plainclothes revenue protection teams. If you do not hold a valid ticket for this train, you may be issued with a minimum penalty fare of £100 or face prosecution.
And if you watched my video from Bastia to Livorno, Italy, you certainly do not want to be fined on the train. At least there is plenty of provision for people with disability or accessibility issues, as yet another announcement is about to tell you.
Priority seating is available on board our trains, indicated by blue labels adjacent to the priority seats. If you are occupying a priority seat and you either see a fellow customer who requires a priority seat or they request the seat, please vacate it for their use. Thank you. London Gatwick Airports, Reading, Epsom and Ascot via Aldershot and Camberley. Please mind the gap.
And so we arrive into Guildford's vast station complex. I last passed through here on the coach on my ferry video from Portsmouth to St Malo, also with Brittany Ferries. A few people alighted here, so another chance to look around the carriage.
If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to
Oh gosh, I can't listen to these announcements again. Time to cut the video.
10. The next station is Farncombe.
Farncombe Station opened in 1897 and has this beautiful old station building in weak Tudor style. And after arriving in Farncombe, we teleport straight to the next station stop of Godalming, just like magic. Godalming has a rather interesting historical fact of being the first town in the whole world to have a public electricity supply, and one of the first in the world to install electric streetlights on the 12th of November 1881.
Our trains are controlled by uniformed and
Oh gosh, it's the same announcements again. Time to move on. Finally, we are out in the open British countryside, affording some beautiful views, especially with today's sunny skies, and some dirt on the window. I will give you a few seconds of this before switching back to something you like more, as I know on YouTube you really do not like beautiful scenery. Instead, here is something you enjoy viewing a lot more, some nice industrial units next to the railway. However, behind there is a nice beautiful stand of tall Douglas fir or Sitka spruce trees. As some of you may know from snippets in my previous videos, I love big trees, and here arriving at Hazelmere is one of the unknown big tree capitals of South East England, with its polecat copse forest housing Surrey's tallest trees, predominantly Douglas fir. If you have never been to or heard of this place, I would definitely recommend a visit in the future. Maybe I will go there on a future video.
Good afternoon, this is your guard speaking. Welcome aboard to everyone that has just recently joined us. This is your South Western Railway service to Portsmouth Harbour. We'll be calling at Petersfield, Havant, Fratton, Portsmouth and Southsea and Portsmouth Harbour today, with a scheduled arrival time into the harbour of 16:36. If you are travelling to Fratton today, please be advised this is a short platform and you will need to be in the front 7 coaches of this 10-coach train. Safety information is displayed throughout all coaches, and if you see or hear anything suspicious or just need my assistance, you can currently find me the guard in coach number 6 of this 10-carriage train, but I shall be making my way through the train throughout the journey. Our next station stop on the service will be Petersfield.
And the section of line approaching Petersfield is, in my opinion, one of the prettiest parts of this route out of London. So if you're making the journey for yourself, keep your eyes peeled for the beautiful scenery. Also, as the guard pointed out in the announcement, it is very common for trains in the southeast to be longer than many of the platforms they stop at. Visitors from other parts of the UK may not be used to or expect this without extra long London commuter services down here. Always listen out for announcements as to where to sit for your station, especially if it's a small stop, as it's easy to get caught out and find a locked train door when you attempt to alight.
The next station is Petersfield. Please mind the gap.
Another beautiful old signal box here on the approach to Petersfield Station. The station buildings here are some of the oldest on the line, dating back to its opening in 1859. Just a few years ago. I think I remember it well.
This is Petersfield. This train is for Portsmouth Harbour. The next station is Havant.
Before making our arrival into Portsmouth, where the real excitement of this trip begins, I just thought I would add an explanation as to why I'm taking the train today, over the coach, which you usually see me using on here, my budget travel channel. This was for several reasons. Firstly, I had all day to get there, so if the train did get delayed, there was plenty of time to make up for it before the ferry. Second, the fare was around the same as the coach, at only £10 each way. And of course, if the train does arrive on time today, I know very unlikely, I have the big bonus of several spare hours in Portsmouth, which, as you will see coming up, leaves time for a spectacular tourist attraction to get me in the holiday mood. With my drink refreshments slowly draining down, we arrive into our next station call, Havant, now in Hampshire. And of course, another nautical or maybe coastal based fact for you. Havant was once the terminus for the branch line off to Haley Island, which was sadly closed during the beaching cuts of 1963. Haley Island, next to Portsea Island, is a much more rural, less visited area.
Havant. This train is for Portsmouth Harbour. The next station is Fratton.
There is a small ferry boat from Southsea area, which I shall have to try out one day. Passing one final SWR service heading northbound for Waterloo, we cross here at Port Creek Junction, the entrance to the bridge across to Portsea Island. The piece of water here separating it from the mainland is called Portsbridge Creek. A final view inside the now almost empty train carriage. I will also point out that there are 4 railway stations on Portsea Island itself, the first of which being Hilsea, where we will not be stopping, and then Fratton, Portsmouth and Southsea and Portsmouth Harbour, where we're ending up today. But alas, we've got a ferry to catch, so let's get this show on the road, and we approach the first of those 3 stations we're stopping at, here at Fratton.
For Portsmouth Harbour. The next station is Portsmouth and Southsea.
Off again now, and you can soon breathe a sigh of relief about getting off this train.
Portsmouth and Southsea. Change here for Portsmouth International Port and hovercraft services to Ryde, Isle of Wight. The local hover bus stop is a 120-metre, 2-minute walk. The hovercraft terminal is a 25-minute, 1,800-metre walk. Passengers for ferries to Gosport and Isle of Wight destinations, please remain on this train and change at Portsmouth Harbour.
And passing one of the Great Western Railway services that operates to and from here, we arrive into Portsmouth and Southsea Station, heading under the very 1990s style roof. It's certainly a long platform here, and we stop all the way down the far end out of the canopy. As it says on the sign, this is the station you would alight at to take the hovercraft across to ride on the Isle of Wight and the Gosport ferries.
This is Portsmouth and Southsea. This train is for Portsmouth Harbour only.
It's also even the closest station to Portsmouth International Port, where I'm going today. But alas, I'm not going straight there because I've got this early train for a special treat beforehand, which you're about to find out. Off to our final destination, the train navigates its way through the back streets of Portsmouth. And I think I'm literally the last passenger left on board this train. To the left here is Portsmouth's famous Gunwharf Quays shopping centre, where we'll be checking out a little later. As we arrive into our final stop, Portsmouth Harbour Station, overall I was very impressed by this train journey. Not only was it cheap, the seats were comfortable, and yes, amazingly, it's even arrived on time. A real holiday miracle. It's time to get up and off my seat, and off my home for the last hour and a half, and head to find my new home for the next 3 nights, and the excitement builds up. 2 old trash cans here in the corridor for anything you wish to dispose of. And that's it. Welcome to Portsmouth Harbour Railway Station. I forgot I had my wheelie bag with me today. It is making a loud noise rolling it along. It's always nice and uplifting arriving at a station with seaside air and a holiday atmosphere. A view of the front of the 2 SWR trains in the station. It looks like they are both Class 450s. And without even leaving the station, you get a brilliant view of Portsmouth Historic Dockyard and the HMS Warrior. Outside the station, using my electronic ticket to easily swipe through the gates, a quick orientation map of the area. Though I've just realised, zooming in, it's all smashed and misaligned. Adjacent to the station is the final resting place of the National Express services, or maybe it's called the terminus instead. But this is where you would arrive on the coach. I walk with great anticipation and excitement through the Gunwharf Quays shopping centre to here, where I'm very eager to visit. And wow, what a stunning view. And I hope you don't have vertigo. Okay, it's time to brace myself. We're going in. A nice looking lobby and easy check-in process. After check-in there is a short video to watch on the history of Portsmouth, and they're ready to take the express lift to the top. And just like that, here we are. Welcome to the Spinnaker Tower. Wow, what a view! Sprawling below us is the Gunwharf Quays shopping centre, and behind it the East Side Plaza Tower. Moving to the other side really builds up my excitement even more, because yes, you've guessed it, on the horizon coming into port are the ferries. I can even see a Brittany Ferries in the distance. I wonder if that's my one. I haven't turned my marine traffic app on yet to check, but I can quickly have a look. Arriving now directly below us is one of the fast catamaran White Rider ferries, the White Rider 1 or 2. And behind it here in the dockside to the left is the tall, top-heavy Victoria of White, White Link's flagship. Unbelievably, in a huge strike of luck, as this was unplanned, this is actually my ferry for today, the Brittany Ferries Santona. What better place to get a view of her before setting sail? Below her there, getting rather close, is the Gosport ferry, costing only £3.70 return at today's prices. She's really getting rather close to the Santona's wake. Is this normal? Please let me know in the comments below. Considering when the old super ferry, the Bretagne, first went into service back in 1989, and they used to close the entire port down for her, this is really a far cry from that, with traffic now crisscrossing each other. The Santona will be my first E-Flexer designed ferry. More on that later. She's also arriving from Santander, which is a little clue to where I'm going. Directly above the main deck of the tower is a sky garden, but beware, it's a lot of stairs to climb up as the elevator does not go up to this level. It's a slightly clearer view however here through the windows, and on the horizon at the top of the East Side Plaza Tower you can see Hailing Island, where I talked about earlier. Finally, the all-important question, how much did the tower cost me? An unbelievable £13.50, booked 1 day in advance on their website. Back downstairs on the main deck, I nearly missed one of the tower's most striking features. Yes, this glass floor. Really not ideal for those who have vertigo. Sadly, and unusually for these towers, you have to take your shoes off to actually stand on it. I think based on that, I'm not going to risk it. However, wow, what a view of the White Rider berthing below. And either the same or another Gosport ferry, pulling into its dock right next to Portsmouth Harbour train station down there, with the HMS Warrior and Portsmouth Historic Dockyard above. I've made it back down out of the tower in one piece, just in time to see the Victoria of White pulling out on another journey to Fishguard. It's then time to enjoy a pre-departure pint of beer, a cruise campo at the nearby Slug and Lettuce in Gunwharf Quays shopping centre. Though I just noticed here on the windows they seem to have rebranded it to S&L. I then make the short walk back to the bus station, right adjacent to Portsmouth Harbour Station where we saw earlier, and board one of the bus at the amazing low fare of only £2 paid to the driver. You can pay in cash or contactless, and as we pull out, you get another view of the bus station here. Up until about 7 PM, the buses from here are quite frequent at approximately every 15 minutes, but after that, they're as rare as hen's teeth. The bus and coach station, also the terminus of the National Express as pointed out before, is really quite nice inside. Sadly it was a bit too busy for me to film in there, but it certainly looked modern and felt safe enough. As you can see, the bus is certainly not busy inside and has accessibility and wheelchair space. I have not checked for certain, so I cannot guarantee 100%, but certainly from the train station down to the port, I did not see many, if any, steps. We pick up speed and head down past the HMS Warrior. On previous trips, I have walked from Portsmouth and Southsea Station, around 30 minutes to the ferry terminal, but alas, coming from the harbour today, it was a bit too far extra, around 45 minutes to a 1 hour walk. It's no more than 10 minutes on the bus, so we're almost there. And welcome to Portsmouth International Port. And once again, like last time, there's a big anchor here. I never did find out which ship it was from. Now let's go and check in. Check-in was quick and easy from the not-so-friendly Brittany Ferries check-in clerk, and now it's time to enjoy a JD and Coke, recreating my experience on Bretagne when I sailed from Portsmouth to St Malo. As always, you cannot film during security, but it was quick and easy, taking around 10 to 15 minutes in total, and then straight onto this bus. However, that in itself is a little bit of an issue of contention, since Brittany Ferries do not have any boarding bridges here in Portsmouth, making the boarding process for foot passengers very convoluted. This is a particular issue on the return journey, as you are stuck waiting for all of the cars to leave the ship before you do. Pointing out en route, there are some toilets here for car passengers to use whilst they are waiting. Well, I suppose, being a travel geek like me, the upside of it is you get to have a look around the port from the bus. And on the subject of the bus, rather humorously, or not humorously as you may look at it, when I boarded, there was smoke pouring out of the side of the bus, and it was so bad it was actually coming up between the seats, and I was seriously concerned for a time that the bus was on fire. But British people being British, nobody at all said anything. I wish now I had somehow captured this on video. Coincidentally, there looks like the old remains of a boarding bridge here. The state of the bus was quite shocking, and this is definitely something the ferry company and or port should look into in the future. Then, as we turn the corner, my first or second view today after the Spinnaker of seeing my vessel for the voyage, the Santona Morley. The excitement builds as we make the final turn to head into its mouth. The berth directly to the left of it here will be soon used by another ferry, which is the surprise you will get to see in a moment. Traversing the final stages of the ramp at a slow speed here, we enter Santona's cavernous car decks, which, as many have pointed out, are much bigger, wider and roomier than those on the old Bretagne style ferries. Brace yourselves, we're boarding. That's it, we are through and inside, and welcome on board the Santona. It's just the elevator or stairs now up to the decks. In my usual order, after putting my bag in my cabin, I head straight up to the top deck. Alas, you'll have to wait for a little while to see the cabin later on. For now, I do not wish to miss this beautiful sunset and departure sequence. And wow, what do I spy in front of us there? Yes, it's another Brittany Ferries vessel. It's the brand new, just 1 month old, Guillaume de Normandy, the replacement for the former MV Normandy, which you can see my video on board on my channel pages, from Caen to Portsmouth. As we watch her sunset arrival, a little more on the Guillaume de Normandy, Brittany Ferries' groundbreaking new hybrid LNG powered vessel, launched just in 2025. At nearly 195 metres long, this E-Flex class vessel carries up to 1,310 passengers and 460 cars. Some nice deck chairs out on deck here. I will have to check these out when the sun is out tomorrow, hopefully. Let's get a little closer and walk over to the side here to see if we can get nearer to the action. Guillaume de Normandy's maiden commercial sailing was on the 18th of April 2025 from Caen to Portsmouth. She has 220 passenger cabins split across her 10 decks, and also a new Couchette Plus capsule style hotel fitted out for school parties and other groups. This is in comparison to the E-Flex Santona we are currently on's 341 cabins, plus an additional 38 truck driver cabins. The Santona is much more cabin heavy due to our longer routes to Spain. Whilst we are heading out of the dock, one thing I would like to also add is that given I am taking this voyage as a return mini-cruise, it gives me the opportunity to compare it to my last mini-cruise with the FDS on Newcastle to Amsterdam, and you can see that video on my channel. I will discuss some of the differences or similarities more later on. DFDS sell Newcastle Amsterdam as a mini-cruise experience and advertise it aggressively. In comparison, I have not seen this advertised very much at all as a mini-cruise, and even to book it's fairly well hidden on the Brittany Ferries website. The vessel is so close you can actually hear the announcements taking place on board her. And it's hard to beat a nice steaming funnel. The suspense and tension builds as the rope is about to be released. And there she goes, chocks away. Oh no, sorry, that's aviation, isn't it? Maybe you can let me know the nautical term in the comments below.
Nous vous souhaitons un excellent voyage en notre compagnie. Merci. Good evening and welcome on board. Captain Noel and all the crew would like to warmly welcome you on board the Santander. We will be arriving in Santander on Wednesday at 7 o'clock British time. The time on board is British. We wish you a very nice crossing. Thank you.
With that, very slowly, I can see we are moving. We're off. Bon voyage.
Una agradable travesía. Gracias. Votre attention, s'il vous plaît, ceci est un message de sécurité. L'accès au garage est strictement interdit pendant la traversée. En cas d'urgence, un signal d'alarme constitué de 7 couvrets et un bouton est diffusé sur l'ensemble du navire. Au même moment,
affording a final view of the Guillaume de Normandy, let's get this show on the road and speed it up, because once again, I don't want you falling asleep.
Security reasons, we ask you not to leave your luggage unattended. Thank you for your cooperation. Atención, por favor.
Here, down towards the rear of the passenger outside deck area, is this nice little undercover smoking shelter and area. I will show you more of this in the daylight tomorrow. It is certainly a lot less foggy than the night I departed Portsmouth on board Brittany, so it affords you some better views of the departure sequence and the Spinnaker Tower at night. However, I'm not truly convinced by this camera's nighttime abilities. It's more of a daytime action camera, so I do apologise about that. We pass below Whitelink's oldest ferry, the Saint Faith, harking back to the old Sea Link days. She's down there moored up for the night. And once again, one of the White Rider Fast Cats is departing for an evening run to the Isle of Wight. I see also that all of Whitelink's other ships, coincidentally, are in port over there, the Victoria of White and the St Clair. With the fantastic memory of ascending up her earlier, it's time to say goodbye to the Spinnaker Tower, to Portsmouth and to the United Kingdom for a few days on this long, epic voyage. For now, however, ferry life begins, so let's get stuck in and enjoy the ship. There is a great feeling being at sea, leaving the rest of the world behind for a few hours, or in this case, days. The beautiful funnel illuminated at night. Now let's see if we can find our way back down to the wharf and do some exploring inside. The main outside decks are right up on level 10, so from here we descend back down. I'll call by my cabin first to give you a tour. There is certainly a lot of stairs, but there is also an elevator for those who need it. Actually, before we go exploring, let's have a look at the deck plans to get an overview of the layout. All of the passenger facility areas are on deck 7 and 8. And rather handily for me, that's exactly where my cabin is, on deck 7, and not only that, I've got one of the most convenient, located cabins you could possibly get. Yes, it's literally right here, in the Camino de la Playa section. Now, the big test on a ferry. Does the key card work? Oh no, first of all, a bit of a mad scramble around in my pockets, trying to find it, hoping I've not lost it already. But phew, here it is. And wow, it literally works first time. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Now welcome to my beautiful cabin, number 736, and look at that gorgeous view from the window. All other bunks, except the one I am using, are folded up by the staff. The bed is more than long enough to accommodate me, being about 6 foot tall. And underneath the gorgeous window view, there is an excellent array of plugs. And wow, look at that window. The amazing thing is, time on this vessel stays still, since it's always light outside.
We thank you for your cooperation.
In-room announcements are also clear.
Señoras y señores, rogamos que los pasajeros con vehículo apaguen sus...
Via the onboard speaker system. A quick 360 orientation around the room, and oh, over here there's another bank of plugs, just the same as the last. And a nice desk to catch up with some work or video editing, and a very good TV, which I'll try out later on tonight. For now, I'm getting a bit peckish, so let's go and find a snack. Sadly, however, the queue was so long at the bar for snacks and drinks, I had to go to the self-service restaurant here to order just this nice chocolate brownie, since I had already had a cheeky Burger King in Portsmouth, which I forgot to record. Price was approximately €4.60 for the brownie and €7 for the IPA beer. The brownie, which I later discovered was actually vegan, was very tasty anyhow. And so the obligatory first sip of a beer on board a ship. Cheers! A little look around La Taberna, now most of the customers have gone. And don't worry if I'm not covering everything in detail, I'll do a full deck tour tomorrow when I'm more awake. I had a final drink in the Ferry's bar, which actually only cost £5.50 in UK money, and they accept both currencies. And it's in here, you can also have the onboard entertainment options. I mean, it was okay. I am not entirely sure what the table numbers are for, since there is no at-seat service. Sadly, I have had to mute the music for copyright. But, talking of noise, there was a big problem in the bar on this sailing. It was full of very noisy football fans watching the match taking place in Bilbao. Okay, it's time to retire for the night. But beforehand, there's one final thing to do. A little poster here on the two new vessels, the Guillaume de Normandy and St Malo. But no, it's not to look at those. Do you remember from my previous videos what I always do before sleeping on board a ferry? Yes, that's right, it's time for my midnight deck stroll. I climb all the stairs, from here at the bar at deck 8, all the way up, back to deck 10. We finally make it, and for an outside door on a ferry, this one is surprisingly easy to open. Whilst exploring the outside decks, it gives me an opportunity to tell you a little bit more about the vessel, the Santona. This was the first of Brittany Ferries' new E-Flex class cruise ferries, delivered in late 2022 and powered by cleaner liquid natural gas, or LNG. She's 215 metres long and carries over 1,000 passengers, 550 cars and freight, and predominantly operates here on the Portsmouth to Santander route, with her sister, the Galicia, operating to Bilbao, but both of them also operate services to Cherbourg. It is certainly a lot quieter up here than it was earlier on today. A final blast of channel wind. Before retiring to my cabin for the night. As I head back down the stairs, I spot here something I hadn't noticed before, and it's probably one of the coolest features on the whole vessel, a window overlooking the glass atrium of the bar and entertainment area below. We will return to that tomorrow when it's a bit more lively and not in the middle of the night. As you will see later, I sort of become fascinated by it, as it really is one of the ship's main architectural focal points. The cabin located in this position really is very handy, and once again, the key card works first time. It's time to bunk down for the night, and on the wall here are some very handy heating controls to get the temperature perfect, and they do work well. And I am afraid, and apologise, a hideous crime has taken place. I am wearing odd socks. Time to test out the TV and watch a bit of a film. But the bed was so comfortable, not so long after the film started, I dozed off and went to sleep. Good night. And good morning aboard the Santona. That really was a very pleasant night's sleep, and I must say I always sleep very well at sea with the gentle rocking motion of the boat. Now it's time to get myself up and out of bed and ready for breakfast. I always look forward to a good Brittany Ferries fry-up. So let's check out the bathroom. Inside, the main prominent feature, of course, was a very good and decent power shower, one of the best I've ever had on a ferry. The nice big clear wash basin, mirror, and soap dispenser up there on the wall. Some paper water cups are also provided. Apologies you cannot see me, but I am not dressed or showered yet. However, there was a major design flaw here, which quickly came to light. The towel rail being situated directly above the toilet was, of course, asking for a disaster, and at some point the towel fell straight down and into the loo. For now, it's shower time, and to use the excellent shower, and it drained well below, not soaking the entire bathroom floor. It also has a normal shower head, which I much prefer to those ghastly rain shower things, and a soap dispenser in there. And over here on the wall, there is a shaver outlet, something difficult to find in a hotel, let alone on a ferry. Not only is it offered, it even includes the European 115 volts and UK 230 volt power options. Well, as if by magic, I'm now changed and ready for breakfast. Upon leaving the room, a few final things to show you. A nice little carefully situated mirror here to see how beautiful you look, and a secretly hidden coat cupboard for hanging up your ball gown. Now let's head out. And as I leave the cabin, I noticed when closing the door that they've put this Aller Retour sticker on, which denotes I'm a mini cruise passenger. I head back to Le Taberna Buffet Restaurant, which as per the glass door I had to wait a little while to open at this time of the day. As per the menu here on the wall, you can have a cooked or vegetarian breakfast for €9. Excellent value for money. Or a tiny express breakfast for €7. Poor value for money. Be sure to grab your cutlery first of all. The hot breakfast options offered, which sadly are served by the staff at set portions, it's not a self-service buffet. You then move on to the tea, coffee and drinks area, before finally paying at the end of the line. And voila, here is the breakfast. Undoubtedly, in my opinion, the best meal still available on the ferry, and certainly the best value for money. The coffee was very good too. Feeling full after the breakfast? Let's go and see if there's a cafe on board now that's not a noisy bar. But alas, there is not. No cafe, only one bar, which also serves as a cafe. Still, at least there's this nice artwork on the wall as you go in. A Coca-Cola and orange juice for only around €3 each. A marine talk was about to begin.
Do our research so that we can access really hard to reach areas without adding any extra boats on the water. And so we do this to keep our oceans alive with whales and dolphins. And we really believe in the role that citizens can play to help us do so. So we combine accessible marine education south at the moment where their breeding grounds are, and they're going up north to their feeding grounds in the Arctic. And then finally we'll be going over a canyon, albeit quite early in the morning, about 5 in the morning, but it's a really exciting area, so it gets about 4,000 metres deep, and this is where you see some of those really deep diving species as they go chasing for deep sea fish, which are really rich in oils and fats, and after big squid as well, such as a giant.
Well, there you go. Very good and informative. Now being light and warmer outside, it's time to do a tour of the outside deck space. First of all, right here on deck 7, near my cabin entrance, is the dog walking area, which is a nice little outside deck, albeit covered by the lifeboats. There are a few little peaking zones though like this, where you can get a good view and a blast of fresh sea air. As I head inside, I point out this half-unwound dangerous cable across the floor, just because it was left there for the entire 3-day voyage, and never reeled back in by any of the staff. Then it's time to check out the rest of the decks by heading up for the big long walk all the way up from 7 to 10. Right, let's speed this up a little. Well, that was certainly quicker than going at real life speed. I noticed, however, on here over the wall, there are some sick bags should you need to dash out of your cabin. South, the left-hand side of the ship is the most shielded from the wind coming in from the Atlantic Ocean. Ah yes, and my first full ocean view over the Bay of Biscay. And don't be alarmed, this is my selfie stick hanging over the side, not myself. People have now begun sunbathing here on various places around the decks. Obligatory view of our lifebelt of the Santona Morley. I must admit, she looks a little faded in the sun. On the right hand, or the correct nautical term, the starboard side of the deck, is a vast array of free gym equipment for you to use at all hours of the day. Or as they said in the old days of the British Empire, it was port out, starboard home, posh with a capital P, since this was the best area for the sunshade on the long voyage from Britain to India. For families, a children's activity area is available over here. The starboard side is the sunnier side of the ship heading south, however, it's also the windiest. Time to sit here for a little while for a spot of sunbathing, although in reality it was one of the only places I could find without being blasted by the cold wind. Heading back down past the outside undercover area, it's now time to do a full deck tour inside the ship. This is one of my 4 walkthroughs, from end to end. Once again, I'll speed up descending down the stairs so you don't get too bored. And ready to begin the tour, down here on deck 8. Deck 8 is the main refreshments, cafeteria, bar and entertainment area of the ship. starting here with the cinema lounge to the left, where they show different film screenings throughout the day. And entering the bar, you've got these beautiful artworks on the wall as you go in. But alas, for some reason unknown to me, which I've just realised from watching the video back, I've decided to change my mind and begin the tour on deck 7. So, here we go down here. No idea why, I'm sorry about that. Here in the corner there is some wheelchair storage space. And we walk through here to the main passenger area, which is the primary area you enter when you first board the vessel. On the right here is what used to be called an internet cafe of sorts, sort of like an e-entertainment working area, and this large interactive screen about the vessel. There are some confectionery machines here too, for those that need it, and a back entrance door that I think is always closed to the duty-free store. An instant coffee machine is available also. I had to wait a little bit to film this due to people in the way, but another interactive screen here. And the large welcome on board signage on the side of the duty-free store. There's a little here on the village of Santona itself, a fishing village between Santander and Bilbao, and the all-important opening times of the store. I'll show you a few more shots inside there later on. Some seating along here, with no cafeteria attached to add, I must add, but it's sort of like open seating for those hanging about. Nothing much else in this section except for the toilets and accessibility friendly toilets. At the end of the corridor here is the higher end Azul a la carte restaurant. You can also get breakfast here, which looking at this is not actually too badly priced, and opening hours are on the TV screen. I won't focus on the higher end meals since of course this is a budget travel channel. Over here by the outside deck entrance is the Fightermare Spa and Wellness Centre, offering various different treatments, manicures and therapies, but they are not free or included of course. Now the duty-free store has turned its lights on, you can have a little peek inside to see how it looks in there. The very usual standard selection of drinks, wines and spirits. Though from my brief trip inside later on, I wouldn't say it was particularly well stocked. So don't count on finding what you need in there, and always try and be well prepared when arriving on a ferry in case you forget something. Because, as I discovered on my voyage to Bastia, finding replacements is very difficult. And always remember to love the ocean. To the right here is the main concierge desk, where you can ask any questions or replace your room keycard. After a brief respite at my cabin, literally located right here, it's time to head upstairs to continue the tour. Before we do, however, one last look at the deck plans just to give you a familiarisation. Down there are the car decks, which are always blocked off at sea. I'm taking the smaller stairwell this time for a change, near towards the front of the vessel. This brings you out near to the rear entrance of La Taberna, which is currently closed. This is the ship's buffet restaurant. Through here there's some more toilets and accessibility friendly toilets, and at the front here is the lounge, which I didn't actually use on the sailing at all, but it offers some nice and comfortable seating. I'm not sure what the door on the right is here. If you know, let me know in the comments below. Finally, right at the front of the ship is the Sea Club or Commodore Club Lounge, which sadly I do not have access to, and of course it does not fit in with a budget travel channel ethos. You can pay for access to this, or get access if you're staying in a Commodore suite or club cabin. There is a very small games and entertainment room here to the right. And someone there obviously does not have a cabin, so best not to disturb them. Finally, now it's quiet, we enter the ship's main bar, the Plaza Mare. And you get a better view without any people in the way. And of course the big nice glass atrium area above. Now to head for another blast of sea air on one of the two lower outside decks. A beautiful calm day over the Bay of Biscay. One of these two lower decks is the designated pet relaxed walking area, and of course it is where the lifeboats are situated. Hopefully we won't be needing one on this voyage. As before, all the outside doors on this vessel are great and open nice and easily, unlike most ferries. One more view here of the Fighter Mare Wellness Spa as we enter. Now I'm feeling rather peckish again, so let's head for dinner and see what options we can find. First of all, checking out the dinner menu at the a la carte Aswell restaurant. Here it is for those who like a more upmarket option, but I think I'll pass today given these prices. Once again, those opening times if you missed them earlier. En route to the buffet restaurant, I found this little arts and culture exhibition with some unusual dress sculptures. Maybe I should wear one of these tonight to the onboard dinner. It's time, however, to head to La Taberna as I'm getting hungry, and here is the outside menu. As you can see, some various different options of snacks, main courses and desserts available. Tonight I decide to go for the spaghetti bolognese, plus once again the chocolate vegan brownie since it was so good yesterday. And what better view is there of dinner than over the Atlantic Ocean? They give you this rather plasticky looking pat of Emmental cheese to put on top of the meal. So now let's tuck in and attempt to enjoy the food. With another view of the atrium tonight, overlooking the now busier bar, it's time to head to my cabin and say goodnight. Early tomorrow morning we will be docking in Santander. Good morning once again on board the Santona. It definitely feels too early for me at this time of day, given that it is still very quiet. Some more views of the lobby and dining seating areas. However, this long voyage really does seem a case of eat, drink and repeat. Time for my much awaited full English buffet breakfast. Breakfast was once again only €9 plus a $2.95 cafe au lait. Once again, very good. Docking time in Santander is at 8 AM, very early for me, so I best get my things together and ready for Spain. And I promise this is the last view of the atrium window for this video. Yes, as I approach the side of the ship, it's land ahoy, and Spain's horizon emerges. A nice view of the squashed, squat-looking E-Flexer funnel in the morning sunrise. It is certainly not as elegant as those on Bretagne and previous vessels. The beautiful view of Spain arriving in the morning sun. Sadly though, presumably due to security reasons, they taped off the sides of the ship so you couldn't actually get as close to the balustrades, which is quite weird, and I've never seen this before on a ferry. So this is the closest I could get for my shots of the arrival. This small island, complete with lighthouse, is known as the Isla de Moro. It entered operation on the 15th of February 1860 and was occupied full-time by lighthouse keepers until 1921, after which there were too many violent storms which put them off living there. But even still today, it makes a beautiful entrance to Santander Harbour. So how do you think this mini-cruise compared with the FDS, as featured on my Newcastle to Amsterdam video? Please let me know in the comments below. My personal opinion is the product was not at the same polished level as a mini-cruise experience, and not geared up to mini-cruise passengers as obviously all well. It just seemed too disjointed, partly due to the long-winded boarding process either end via bus. Looking back behind, you get a great view of our wake as we make the big turn into Santander Harbour, which then after entering, you are greeted by this gorgeous sandbar, which runs exceptionally close to the ship. It feels like you can almost touch it. It is certainly a great welcome to Spain and the beaches that await. The bar is known as El Puntao Beach, or Playa El Puntao. On the opposite side of the vessel, we can see the vast buildings of the city of Santander itself approaching. Santander has a population of about 180,000, just a little less than Portsmouth's 200,000, where we began. Just over there is Santander's famous botting centre, which we will be seeing up close later on. And bless you to whichever passenger sneezed there.
Votre attention s'il vous plaît, les portes secousses sans accès au cardex sont à ouverture automatique. Nous vous demandons de vous en écarter et d'en attendre l'ouverture complète. Les passagers dans les véhicules secours pour numéro 5 et pour numéro 3 sont invités à rejoindre leur véhicule.
Back inside and collecting my charger and a few things from my cabin, but of course leaving the rest of it in there as I'm a mini cruise passenger, I begin the long process of waiting to exit the ship as a foot passenger.
Please keep your doors until they are fully open. All car passenger and foot driver may not go down to the vehicles. Please do not smoke on the car decks and do not turn on your engine until requested by a member of the crew. We ask all foot passengers to please wait until the information hall on deck 7 for a further announcement regarding this embarkation. Attention por favor.
Down the long flight of stairs and on board the transport bus finally, for yet no boarding bridge at Brittany Ferries Port once again. Still, at least we get to see the interesting process of containers being unloaded from the vessel. It would appear as though many trailers are parked on board without their cabs, and then they are collected the other end. It's always interesting to see the cogs of international trade take place. Finally, it's our turn, and we are being carted off. The excitement increases of arriving into Spain as another trailer passes us by. And that's it. Welcome to Santander and the north coast of Spain. Time now to turn off the camera and go through security and immigration. Passport control and security was relatively quick and easy, other than having to scan your bags again on arrival. However, the ferry really does drop you off right in the middle of the city centre, with most things being within walking distance, except maybe the beach, which is a little bit too far away. Now let's quickly discuss the positives and negatives of the Brittany Ferries mini cruise experience on the Santona. Starting with the positives, it was excellent value for money, and I'll reveal the price shortly after this. The cabin was nice, clean and modern. Timings were also good for me as well, and there were good value beverages and food really on board. Then moving on to the negatives, I didn't think there was enough food and drink options on board. Despite the good value for money, there wasn't enough choice on the menus or choice of venues. The stopover in Santander was also too short. Only about 4 hours is available to explore. The staff on the ship were not hugely friendly either. They were okay and they weren't rude, but they were just a little bit abrupt and not very welcoming compared to a mini cruise experience. I think overall it falls short of the DFDS Newcastle to Amsterdam offering. The pricing for this trip, however, was absolutely fantastic. £159 for a 3-night mini cruise, including my inside cabin, with only 2 £10 train fares booked in advance, making a trip total of £179. This is not including food or drink, of course. Handily located, right next door to the ferry terminal, is arguably Santander's most famous building, the Bottin Centre, designed by Renzo Piano, who was also the architect of the famous Shard Tower in London. This, however, is a famous art gallery, and it was put up between 2012 and 2017. Sadly, I have run out of time on this video, but if you wish to see more of the Bottin Centre and the rest of Santander, you will have to wait for part 2 of this trip on my channel very soon. Keep your eyes peeled. And with that, thank you for watching Carl's Travel Channel. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.